Hi everyone, so my name is Leandra Doan and I have been wanting to make this video for a long time now. I entered undergraduate university in 2016, in fall of 2016, and I just graduated last month in 2020. So I have gone through undergrad and I am successfully going to medical school this summer. I received a lot of interview invites, many of them from top 10 med schools such as Harvard University, Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, and I was accepted into 5 medical schools and am on the wait lists for several others. For a high school senior watching this video, first of all, congratulations, because you probably wouldn't be watching this if you were not accepted to more than one school. So that's already an achievement in itself, and I hope you are very proud of getting accepted to many schools and having this decision. As you can tell by the title, I chose to attend University of California, Riverside over UCLA and UC Berkeley. In 2016, I will say that UCR was not a well-known school. I think it's definitely risen in the ranks during the years, but UCR, to be blunt, was kind of known as like the UC reject school, the school that a lot of people went to because they couldn't get into other UCs. But I was accepted to University of California, Berkeley and UCLA. I chose UCR. And my personal journey is because I was a pre-medical student. I came into college thinking that there was a very, very good possibility that I would be going toward the pre-medical route. So I'm just going to be giving advice based on that. So I would say when you're choosing between colleges, the first thing I factored in was cost. UC Riverside gave me a Regent Scholarship. The UC Regent Scholarship, that was the only scholarship that I received from all 3 of my universities, or LA and Berkeley. I'm just gonna talk about those. And so UCR seemed like the most cost-effective option for me. The second thing I factored in was location. So location is important because for me, I wanted to go to a college that was semi-near to home. Talking about LA and Berkeley, clearly LA is a lot closer to Southern California than Berkeley is. So automatically I kind of preferred LA or Riverside, but that was not the deciding factor. And the third, and I think the most important factor of why I chose Riverside is because of the fit of the school / opportunities at the school for my specific goals. If you have any inclination towards any idea that you are going to be a pre-med, I would suggest that you do your research. And when I say research, I mean look online on the school's individual websites, and this could apply to any school, not just UC schools. Look online on the websites to see what resources the school has for pre-medical students. Do they have a pre-med advising office? Do they have clubs? Do they have a medical school on campus that maybe they have pipeline programs going into that medical school? Do they have free tutoring sessions, an academic resource center, things like that? And I would also look on forums, College Confidential. You know, these types of forums, anyone can write anything, so you don't really know how reliable it is, but there is some value to it. Take it with a grain of salt though. So I looked on College Confidential a lot, and I also talked with students who had gone to each of these universities and asked them about their experiences, and asked them questions such as, you know, how are your relationships with your professors? What is the environment like? Is it cutthroat? Is it collaborative? Do you feel like the administration is receptive to student feedback? If you were going through something really troubling during college, which is bound to happen because college is stressful, do you feel like you have support from the school? These are all important questions to ask current students and also students who graduated from that school recently. It's really important to get as many opinions as you can, because you, at the end of the day, have to make this decision for you. And many people can tell you things and give you opinions and suggestions, but at the end of the day, you have to make the final call. This is an important decision. So let me dive into each of the colleges. Number 1, UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley was my dream school. At the time, I think it's UCLA now, but at the time it was the #1 public university, and I came into high school thinking I'm gonna work my butt off so I can get into UC Berkeley. Not because I knew much about the school, but because I will say it was like validation. I wanted to get into UC Berkeley just as a validation for myself. When I got in, I was so incredibly happy because I had worked so hard for this. When I started doing my research, as I spoke about earlier, I went to a convention for UC Berkeley admitted students nearby. I think mine was in Anaheim. Went there, the UC Berkeley staff or whoever was running it, all they kept saying was, we are the #1 institution, and you know, they listed all the like amazing discoveries that were made there by their faculty and all these things, but not once did I hear how this school would help me. I kept on hearing this, like they basically gave off the impression that we are great, so you guys have to live up to our expectations, rather than saying, hey, we're so lucky to, you know, have you here and we want to make you successful. They did not have that sentiment, and because of that I was really turned off by the school. When I spoke, and if you go to UC Berkeley now or you know people who love it, that's great. I'm just talking about my personal experience when I spoke to people, and at the time I didn't want to go to a school that didn't seem involved and didn't seem invested in student success. That was just my personal opinion. It was also far from home. The location played a factor. They didn't give me any aid, so the cost was going to be a lot too because it was super far away from home. And so that's why out of all 3 schools I was really considering, I took away UC Berkeley and narrowed it down to LA and Riverside. So UCLA. UCLA is a wonderful school. UCLA seems like kind of a work hard, play hard mentality. They have a lot of school spirit. UCLA is, you know, iconic. I mean, its campus is featured in a lot of famous movies, famous TV shows, and a lot of my friends from high school were going to UCLA. When I did my research, you know, knowing that I was heavily considering being a pre-med, I was looking at a lot of resources online, and online I'm stuff, but it wasn't like clear cut laid out, and that I was a little bit worried about that because it kind of seemed like that individualistic mentality that Berkeley had. I had the opportunity to go to a Southeast Asian Admit weekend. It's called C-Admit, hosted by UCLA. It's an organization that reaches out to Southeast Asian admitted students, and they invite them to spend the night at UCLA, and current students will show them around and they'll play games, and it's a really great opportunity for you to know UCLA, and it's a fun impression, and basically most of the people I met there ended up going to UCLA after. And I remember at the C-Admit, it was a wonderful opportunity for me to talk to a bunch of students who are currently going there, and I asked them about, you know, is there tutoring available? How, you know, what is the dynamic of the student body like? And I asked all these questions, and when I left, I remember feeling like this is going to be a hard school. UCLA has, I think, the highest number of entering pre-meds or something like that. I read that online, but it is a competitive environment. But every single person at UCLA, even if they had struggles with the academic side of things, they all agreed that it was just a wonderful place to be. They met amazing, talented, and such ambitious people. They had friendships that they thought, you know, would last their entire lives, and they loved being a Bruin. There's so much school spirit at UCLA, it's amazing. And I fell in love with UCLA, but I could tell that I don't know if I would have been I don't know if I would have had felt as supported there as if I had went to UCR, and I'll go into that later. I also attended Bruin Day, which is like this day that all these admitted students go to look at the school and learn about the school, things like that. It gives you a chance to explore with your family the campus. And at Bruin Day, there was a pre-medical conference that I attended, and it was like this huge lecture hall just filled with like 2,000 people and their families and students, and there were, I think, 5 to 8 current medical students at UCLA School of Medicine who had attended UCLA undergrad on the panel, and then some professors. So like 8 people in total or something like that. And they were answering questions from the audience. And I remember one of them was saying, yeah, UCLA has a bunch of opportunities for students, but again, you have to go out and do it yourself. You have to reach out. You have to find people who will take you in their lab, who will show you this organization. And basically, the school's not going to hold your hand to help you succeed, is the impression that I got. And that's not necessarily a school I wanted to be in. Some people thrive on that environment, but I was really insecure going into my college experience. I was really scared because I was worried that I wouldn't succeed. It's just some insecurity that I had, and I really wanted to go to a school where I felt would want me to succeed. That was important to me. So now going to UC Riverside. UC Riverside, the location is not great. It's hot. It's in the Inland Empire. It's there's not a lot of stuff to do there, to be quite honest, when compared to LA, right? It's Riverside, but the school itself is great. When I went to Highlander Day, which is the equivalent of like Bruin Day at UCLA, I met a lot of students who were involved in so many things, and they were telling me, yeah, you know, you can always email me, here's the brochure, you know, we would love to have freshmen involved in this student organization or this club or whatever. I found that there was a way to get involved with the gym there. There was a way to get involved with student government through different groups. It just felt like a school that really valued student feedback and valued student opinion. And when I make another video about UCR specifically in my application, you'll see that I was really involved with making decisions on campus for things that I cared about. There were a lot of opportunities for leadership. Now in 2016, when I was doing all of this, UCR had just opened, I think a couple years prior, the UCR med school. And because they just opened this like brand new med school in California, UCR as an undergrad had a bunch of programs that were called pipeline programs that were feeding people into UCR med school. So they had pipeline programs like MSP, it's called Medical Scholars Program. It's a community of pre-meds or pre-health students that just help each other, tutor each other, give each other advice, and they have mentorship opportunities within that program to help people succeed. These were programs that were set up by the school to foster success so that eventually, hopefully, they can apply to UCR School of Medicine and work in the Inland Empire, which is a really underserved region in California. This was the only school where I felt like did that. In addition, the cost, it was way less expensive for me to attend this school. The only thing was I didn't know anybody going into this school. I didn't have friends, and it just, Riverside didn't excite me at all, like the idea of going to a super hot area of California. But in the end, I chose UCR, and I will admit reluctantly, because it kind of seemed like I was doing it as a mature decision rather than a fun decision. But in the end, 4 years later, looking back and having been accepted to a top 10 med school and having the opportunity to choose a med school that I want to go to because I had more than one acceptance, I wouldn't have changed it for anything in the world. I met wonderful people at UC Riverside. I've met so many great faculty, and I just wouldn't have changed a thing. So basically, my advice to you, any high school seniors or whatever, younger people watching this, when you're making your college decisions, do your research, you know, online, and then finding students too. Also, if you don't know any current students going to the college that you're looking at, use social media. We live in a day and age where you can literally go onto a school's Instagram page, find people who tagged that, you know, school in their own photos, and then you can DM those people. You can find people through Facebook. Like, you can do anything you want practically to just reach out to somebody on the internet and ask them about their school. So I would say do your research, and that includes asking students. I would say the next thing is to think about location and cost and how those factor in. That's really important. And then the third thing is imagining yourself at that school. Will you be happy? At the end of the day, you know, you have to ask yourself, will you be thriving? Will the school help you thrive? And do you really think that you could succeed at this school? Because if you feel like weather is a huge factor and you cannot survive in the snow, right? Or in the heat, extreme weathers or something like that, then you have to find a school that is for you. That's just my advice. But I hope this video was helpful. I will be posting more videos about my medical school journey, about my MCAT,